for a new card, good deeds, and it reads, volunteer at a soup kitchen. This is a cool one actually, because that is something that I have done before. It was a long time ago, but I had a pretty nice experience because it felt nice to, first of all, I visited a soup kitchen in two ways. One way was to, of course, put food together and sort through the donations and things like that, and even bringing it to people. But my second time around, and I think this was the last time I was ever in one, was during my Kansas trip story when we were down in the Tennessee area. That's when we had to make a stop at one of these places, and we spent about 5 or so days over there, and we had to actually be the ones to benefit from the soup kitchen. But at the same time, because we spent a few days in the area, we got to meet some pretty nice people. And to this day, I still have one of those contacts, which I really should get in touch with. But I think that soup kitchens are one of those places that you can think actually do things for the community directly, and it benefits the genuinely impacted people a little more, I want to say, productively than other companies may. And I'm not saying that other companies that just donate and drop things off aren't doing their bit. Like, of course, we need the resources to be able to produce the item, to be able to hand out in the first place. But sometimes I feel like we need the actual laborers, the actual workers, the actual chefs, the actual food handlers, the actual, people with the expertise to perform the labor of using those resources that were just dropped off and gathered and turning it into something consumable. It's one of those things that I often look at it and I think this is the job that should be paid the most, but yet it doesn't because it relies on the goodwill of people. Because soup kitchens very often tend to be attached to things like churches. I know that the one we went to, it was part of a church that also had its little thrift store, and of course the money made through the thrift store was to support the soup kitchen and of course the workers in general. But see what I mean? I feel like those are the most fulfilling jobs, but I know I couldn't make it. I couldn't live on that kind of a wage, for instance. I think that those are the places that, because they do so much for the people who have so little, being non-profit, mind you, and let's face it, some of them, because you have people from all walks of life, you cannot really predict what kind of person you're going to get entering through the door. And it's similar to retail, in which it's absolutely open to everybody. All of the public can come up in there. So there's an element of risk and a hazard. But I think that soup kitchens are places that definitely deserve more investment in, and their contributions and impact on the community are very noticeable. So yeah, you guys, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. When it comes to volunteering, it's something that in my current situation, like I've said before, I find difficult to do because I need to make sure that I continue the grind. Like the clothes, for example, I've been having a relatively bad season this summer. Spring, I was making a killer. But for summer, maybe it's because people are traveling, and therefore, if you're traveling, you don't have time to be browsing online. Or maybe you do have the time, but you're not going to be browsing online to make purchases that you won't be at home to receive. I guess I could be like, well, this would be the best time for me to volunteer since the business is kind of slow. But quite the contrary. Back in the spring, I was having trouble putting items out, like say listing them, because listing is something so time consuming if you actually do a genuine good job with it. And then I thought, well, now that it's slow, I want to add steam to that because this is time that I was not having when I was getting slammed. Volunteering, as much as I like that, and especially when I was younger, I did my fair bit of that. As an adult currently, with all the shit and responsibilities and bills and shit that I have going on and uncertainty, that's just something I cannot afford to do. And I hate saying it because that's one of the things that makes volunteering so rewarding. When you become selfless and you perform the sacrifice to give back any number of ways. But like I said, I'm giving back. But At what point will I get something back? And like I said, I don't want to make it seem like it's selfish, but I'm saying someone who is in a difficult situation, such as myself, if I have opportunities to plant seeds to improve myself to where I can get to the point where I can have the time that I had as a teenager, in which my mom could maintain me and we could get by, those times are not with me right now. And if I start doing this, I feel like I will begin to neglect my personal life, then I'll get in trouble, then I'll have to resolve my problems. But what guarantees me that I'm going to receive the resources to resolve my issues? See what I mean? Volunteering, fantastic thing. But I think it's something that should be done when you're in the position to volunteer. The people who are able to fit it in and make it work when they are not in what I describe as an optimal condition to do it, completely admirable. That's perfect. That's excellent. I'm just saying that this is something that doesn't work for me. But I can say that I value the experience. I value the fact that this exists, and it's something that I do think about pretty often, especially when I feel down. I'm like, I have a body that's functional, and when I'm feeling down and sad, productivity tends to make me feel good, makes me feel super. Why not use this somewhere? Why not use this somewhere to make someone else feel better? And in turn, maybe improve the mental health issues that are very evidently present in the community that I deal with at my job. But like I said, there's just other stuff that I have to give my attention to and focus on. And it's stuff that I gotta do from home. In addition, I was overdue for a rest period because I really had back to back to back to back to back to back action. And I feel like I'm doing myself a favor by recognizing that I did need the break. And that's why you guys have been seeing me posting a lot more often, because this is my feel good time. But today, for instance, what's on my agenda is I need to clean the bathroom since maintenance finally arrived. Still have not fixed my thing. And I finally have my bathtub drain working. Now I can clean the bathtub, which I haven't been able to clean in about a month now. I gotta just clean the rest of the house overall. I gotta do my clothes, which that usually takes me 2 hours, not counting the folding them, putting them away, and things like that. These are my laundry baskets. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3 baskets. I definitely gotta make time to list items. I gotta work out, and I gotta do something about food too. All I have in my stomach right now is a smoothie, but yesterday, since I ate all that garbage that I made reviews on, I needed to give myself like some cleaning time. If I were to say choose today to volunteer, there's something that's not gonna get done when it needs to get done, like the cleaning, the dishes, the clothes, washing. It's one of those things that I think volunteering works best when you have some kind of support backing you up. But anyways, that's just my opinion. Being brutally honest, I'm not trying to give it less value or more value or make myself look good or justify why I don't do it or try to make excuses or anything like that. It's just my views on volunteering, my experience with it, and why I do or do not do it currently. The good thing is that at my job, we're trying to begin projects like this. Most of them were happening during the spring, of course, since the weather was amazing. But during the spring, you guys know I was scrambling with my mom, getting her stuff together. So that is one thing that made me feel down, because I'm like, these fucking opportunities that I had a better time to take part in weren't there during that time. Say during the holidays, when I had the extra money, when I had the extra time as a result, because I was able to afford to ride it out with whatever money I made at the time. But now, the season when everything slows down, and by extension, I should be slowing down as well and be able to just, hell yeah, get involved in this, I just can't. Because now, all of that prosperity that I experienced for short term is gone, and now I gotta prepare myself to make sure that that time can come back, that season can come back. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Until I resolve my issues here at home, I just cannot imagine being able to redirect my efforts and focus onto something else. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.